Can you believe it? The Nintendo Switch can finally start grade school. It's been a weird 6 years with the Nintendo Switch. Normally by now, Nintendo would have released a revision of their handheld console because that's just how Nintendo rolls. Let's look at the Game Boy Advance specifically. The Game Boy Advance was released in America in June 11th of 2001. 2 years later, Nintendo released the Game Boy Advance SP, and then another 2 years after that, they released the Game Boy Micro. So from 2001 to 2005, we had 3 different Game Boy Advances. The Nintendo Switch is 6 years old, and we're still only on, I guess you could call other variations, like we have the Switch Lite and the OLED, but none of those are real advancements in the Switch's hardware. You know what, maybe the Game Boy Advance wasn't a good example. We're talking like Game Boy Color to Game Boy Advance, but we haven't seen an updated version, and that's really weird. But I figured, it's time to talk about the Nintendo Switch as a whole, because the Nintendo Switch has been a very pivotal part of my gaming development in the last 6 years. Bit of a preface, when the Nintendo Switch came out, I, at the time, was unemployed, but I had saved up enough to get a copy of the Switch, because I just needed things that would make me feel better. I wasn't keeping a lot of time at home, but I didn't want to just go wander around and do nothing, so I needed something to take with me. And originally I'd been using like my 3DS, because even now, I still love the 3DS. I think it's the best DS handheld. And so I was like, okay, the Switch looks cool. And holy shit, the Switch is really cool. I got me a Pro controller down the road, and it is absolutely my favorite controller of all time. I even replaced the faceplate on my Switch Pro controller, and even the backplate on my Nintendo Switch to a Glacier Purple to match my absolute obsession with the Glacier Purple Game Boy Color. That Glacier Purple Game Boy Color is something I have not shut up about for years. It's just my absolute favorite Game Boy Color of all time. So I figured it'd be kind of a fun little look back on the history of the Nintendo Switch by looking at some of my all-time favorite games that have come out on the console. And, I have a lot. I have played a lot of games on this thing. It's mostly been JRPGs because that's just who I am. I'm proud to admit that. You can see, there's a couple right off the bat here. The Tales of Symphonia remaster, I was really excited for. I still love it. It's Tales of Symphonia and it's handheld now. Sure, it's the port of the PS3 version and not the GameCube, but I can deal with that. I'm not super in love with it. I don't want them to keep doing it, but I can deal with it. Monster Sanctuary, I've talked about this game in my end of year top 5. I've played it on PC, I've played it on Switch. I've gotten so much time out of that game. It is phenomenal, and it's even better handheld. Dragon Quest XI, finally beat this game. This is an RPG that instead of taking like 40 hours, took me 80 hours spread across 3 or 4 years. I started playing it at the beginning of the pandemic, I think, maybe a little before, and it just took me forever to make my way through this game. It's a very good game. I have a video script written up where I'm going to be talking about it soon, and I just have nothing but good things to say about it. Maybe the only negative is the length, but I'm the kind of guy that likes really long JRPGs. Ni no Kuni: Wrath of the White Witch. Yes, again, I know this is a port of a game that originally came out for a different system, but this is the way I beat the game. This is the way I've beaten the game the first time. Ni no Kuni: Wrath of the White Witch is absolutely a phenomenal game, and it plays even better on the Nintendo Switch because it's portable. And if you are sick with stomach crud, you can lay on the couch for hours on end just playing the game. Press the power button to put it in sleep mode, turn it down when you need to take a nap, wake up, pick up exactly where you left off. It's phenomenal, and that's one thing about the Switch I really like as well. You can just tap a single button. You don't have to tell it to go into sleep mode. You just tap a button and it goes into sleep mode. Xenoblade, I have fully beaten Chronicles at this point. Xenoblade 2, Xenoblade 3 are on my list as well, but we just need to talk about the fact that Xenoblade is perfectly at home on the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch is somehow powerful enough to make the Xenoblade series work, while simultaneously not being strong enough to make a freaking Pokemon game work. Don't know how that's possible, but it just is. Xenoblade Chronicles, you absolutely belong here. Bravely Default 2! I definitely need to talk about Bravely Default 2. This was a game that I had invested so many hours in. I've got all the endings, absolutely adored the game. The music is phenomenal. This is the game that broke my current Joy-Cons because you have to constantly tap and press in on a thumbstick I think it's the right thumbstick. My right thumbstick on my Joy-Con is broken, and I have the really nice left purple, right orange Joy-Cons, and the fact that I can't push that in anymore is very annoying. Anytime I need to, I have to whip out the Pro Controller. Even if I'm in handheld mode, it's kind of annoying, but it was worth it for that game. This game was a surprise to me. I love Crypt of the Necrodancer. I love rhythm games with good music. I didn't think this one was going to be as fun as it turned out to be, and I've played this so many times. I have beaten it so many times. It's just a good game. I highly recommend it if you've never played it. It's one that I'm like, yeah, get on this game. It's very good. So is Link's Awakening. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remake for the Switch. I mean, this was cute. This was good. This was a very good game, and it played very similar to the original. It almost feels like it's just a complete remaster as opposed to a remake, because they only added in one little thing with it, and it wasn't anything that was super necessary to completion or anything. It was like just there, and it was really, really good. People are gonna hate me for this one. Paper Mario has had a weird go recently with games like Sticker Star and Mario and Luigi crossover and Paint Color Splash. Like, it's not been great. I think Origami King got us as close to the original feeling of Paper Mario as we're going to get for a long time without a complete remake and remastering of the originals. It was fun. It was cute. It had partners. Like, it was a good Paper Mario game. And I know, again, it wasn't what people were wanting, but like, if you have been on the fence about it, if you can find it cheap enough, give it a shot. It's a good game. Luigi's Mansion 3. I don't really know what else to say about this one other than it was a fun Luigi's Mansion game. Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy. Again, another game that came out on a completely different system, GameCube and PS2. But again, the only way I've actually managed to beat the game. This was the first time I've fully beaten it because, again, I was able to take it with me and play it on the road. Although I think this one I did specifically play on stream. I don't know what to tell you. It's a good game. It holds up even on modern hardware. And the last one I want to talk about, Wonderful 101 Remaster. Wonderful 101 is a game that was trapped. For the longest time, it was trapped on dead hardware. This game is by Platinum, so you know the same people that did Bayonetta. And it's just good. It's just good fun. I honestly think that it does play best in handheld mode, but you can play it on the TV in docked mode, and it's still just really, really fun. The gameplay is addictive and fast. It's very much story-driven. I don't remember there being too many side missions, but if that's the case, they weren't terrible. I don't know. I really don't know what to tell you. This is a good game, and I'm glad I backed it to help get it onto other platforms. So yeah, Nintendo Switch, 6 years old. I really wonder if we're going to be getting an updated Switch Pro or something like that down the road. I know the next model, quote unquote, that we're getting is a Tears of the Kingdom branded OLED Switch, but like, this is still going to be the same hardware. So it's going to be almost 7-year-old hardware running a 7-year-old software. Maybe they changed it. Maybe it's just Breath of the Wild with a recoat. I don't know. This isn't a video talking about that. I do hope we see a updated version of it one day because I would very much like to upgrade mine. But until then, my good old original Switch, that's where we're staying.